everybody, and welcome to Nathan on Shuffle and to my latest episode of New Music Weekly, the show where I give you guys the top 5 prog news headlines for the week, introduce you guys to some new prog singles, and just give you updates on the channel and what's happening here on Nathan on Shuffle. It's an exciting time for music fans, and I'm really excited to get into the news items today. As always, if you want to subscribe, I would much appreciate it. Any like or comment on the video is also appreciated too. Just helps the channel to grow and helps me know that there's interest in these shows and that you guys are enjoying it. So thank you so much for all the support. I wasn't here last week for New Music Weekly. I decided to take the week off and focus on my Genesis ranking show that I did this week, which is a little bit more of a sprawling project that took some time to edit and to work on. And there wasn't so much news going on, in my estimation. I didn't see a lot of items that were pressing that I felt like I had to come on and share with you guys. So I thought it was better to wait a week to let the news items collect a little bit and to give you guys a better show this week. And I think that should be the case. I'm excited to give you guys some news here. So it's September 29th, 2023. And I always start the list here with some new releases, what's been coming out in the prog world. Last weekend, there was quite a few interesting releases. Subsignal released A Poetry of Rain, a beautiful prog album that has a real melodic feel to it. They're a great band. Definitely check that one out. Bruce Soord of Pineapple Thief fame released a solo record, Luminescence, last weekend. Beatrix players released Living and Alive, who are more of a chamber pop prog ensemble with some beautiful female vocals and some more orchestral instruments. Bear Ghost came out with an album called Jiminy, which me and my fellow prog YouTube friends have been really raving about in our chat. A cool alternative prog band, similar to something like the Deer Hunter, but a bit wackier and more out there. Maybe Deer Hunter mixed with Diablo Swing Orchestra or something like that. Really fun record. This week is all about the new Steven Wilson record, The Harmony Codex, which came out this weekend. Fabulous record that I'm definitely going to talk more in depth about this upcoming week on a review show that I'm going to do on Tuesday. So look forward to that. Don't want to spoil it too much, but I'm sure many of you won't be surprised that I really love it. I think it's a sonic masterpiece of a record, just beautifully produced, and has so many interesting and intricate sounds and influences, and just really a great record that I strongly recommend to all prog fans. Just Steven Wilson knocked it out of the park here, and I'm really excited to talk more in depth about it. So, item number 2, this was from last week, but I wanted to mention it here. Spock's Beard announced Feel Euphoria 20th edition for the first time ever, being released on vinyl. Really excited. I love Spock's Beard, is well documented on the channel, one of my favorite groups. This was the album that came out right after Neal Morse left the band, so for me it was the first new Spock's Beard record that I anticipated, because I became a fan right at that time when Neal Morse left the group, which was totally devastating for me as a new fan, but I was glad they were still going to continue onward. And I also had some Neal Morse material to enjoy with Testimony coming, so it was a little bit of, best of both worlds in some ways, but also just a little bittersweet, because I wouldn't ever experience the full Neal Morse fronted version of the band. But Feel Euphoria is coming out on November 24th, 2023 on vinyl. Really cool that they're redoing this one on vinyl. It hasn't been on vinyl before, so it was originally released in 2003, so nice that they're celebrating this 20th anniversary edition, and it seems like this is going to lead to more re-releases of Nick-era Spock's Beard albums, which haven't been released on vinyl before. I don't believe there's ever been a version of Octane or their self-titled record ever on vinyl, so it's cool that they're coming out with those. So I'll definitely be letting you guys know when those are announced as well, but for now, the announcement centers around Feel Euphoria, coming out, like I said, November 24th. I've already got my pre-order in, excited to hear it on vinyl. It's not really celebrated as one of their best albums, but I think it has a lot of hidden gems on it, and I think it's an interesting transitional record that showcases them moving into a new direction after a pretty big loss to their sound. So really interesting. Another interesting remastering of an older album. This is Devin Townsend announcing their remastered and expanded 25th anniversary edition of Infinity. So this was a landmark Solo album from Devin Townsend, and this brand new edition also comes out November 24th. Comes as a limited 2 CD digipack, gatefold 180 gram 2 LP booklet, and a digital album as well, including all the bonus tracks from this era, as well as newly shot artwork and liner notes from Devin. So I'm not as familiar with Devin Townsend's work. I really love some of his recent albums like Empath and Lightwork, but I know there's a ton of fans out there who love him, and so I wanted to make sure it was mentioned that we got a new remastered and expanded version of one of his solo releases, Infinity, so it should be really cool. Of course, it includes the remastered original album plus 7 bonus tracks, including the songs from the Christine EP, which appears on vinyl for the first time. So, and it's all been mastered specifically for vinyl, so it should be a really cool release for all prog fans. Item number 4, Steve Hackett is going to celebrate the 50th anniversary of The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway on tour next year. So Steve Hackett is just a machine, just touring cycle after touring cycle. This past tour was focused, he just released the CD of Foxtrot at 50, so that was a recent tour that they did. But this one seems to be highlights from Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, and also some selections of Genesis classics and solo material as well. So this isn't occurring till next year, 2024, kicking off at the legendary Friars at Aylesbury Waterside on October 2nd and concluding at the prestigious London Royal Albert Hall on October 23rd. So it should be a cool little UK tour featuring a lot of great material from The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. And just a little plug that I did my Genesis rankings this week, which features Lamb Lies Down on Broadway placing fairly high on the list. So please check that out if you haven't yet. My rankings of Genesis, really a fun show to do that I've been planning for quite some time. Item number 5, Neal Morse is planning a Morse Fest in the UK for January 2024. He did 2 Morse Fests recently, one here in the US as usual in Nashville, but then he also did one in Europe in Holland in August this year as well. So now he's setting his sights in the UK. I don't believe there's an official venue or anything yet, but they already have the dates for people to save the date for January 12th and 13th. So it should be a fun weekend. They should be doing the same material that they did on these previous Morse Fests, playing Testimony and Testimony 2. Should be a lot of fun. The Neal Morse Band is just an incredible live band that shouldn't be missed. So should be a lot of fun to see them in the UK. It's cool that they're going to different areas of the world to do this sort of material, when before it was mainly just focused in the US, in Nashville, in Neal's hometown. So maybe it'll spark them taking this on the road to other areas, who knows, but cool to see that it's happening in the UK for the UK fans out there. Some bonus items, so those were the top 5 for me, but some quick bonus shots here. Jethro Tull are releasing alternative mixes of their latest album, Rock Float. These alternative mixes were created by the Pineapple Thief's Bruce Soord, and made available via streaming worldwide. So Soord's Dolby Atmos 5.1 surround sound alternative stereo mixes all feature on the 2 limited deluxe formats of Rock Float released back in April, but now we're having Bruce Soord's alternative stereo mixes available on streaming, so those can be heard worldwide by those who are interested in hearing those alternate mixes. Another bonus item, Mostly Autumn is releasing a live album that they recorded at Abbey Road. This is going to be called Studio 2. Being released October 15th through the Mostly Autumn label. Should be a lot of fun to hear that live performance at the legendary Abbey Road studio, where the Beatles famously recorded, and should be a really cool release for Mostly Autumn, this live studio album here. And then Prog ensemble Circuline reveal a new lineup, album, and ambitious virtual tour that they're doing. So their new lineup is keyboardist, vocalist Andrew Collier, from Robert Barry's 3.2 band and the Tubes, drummer Darren Brannon, lead vocalist Natalie Brown, and welcoming new member Shelby Logan Warren from Kairos on bass and vocals, and Dave Bainbridge on guitars, who's been in Straubs, Iona, Life Signs. So really fabulous lineup. The new album has been 6 years in the making, called Core, C-O-R-E, released on the Internova music label, should be released Friday, September 20th, 2024. And so it should be an interesting launch to the album, and it seems like they're starting a virtual tour in January consisting of 56 events in 48 weeks with single releases, lyric videos, official videos, behind-the-scenes videos, and live stream Q&A events. So a big way for the band to connect with their fans worldwide, and should be an interesting process as they promote their upcoming album. So I just wanted to mention that as well. So on our Prog singles list, a double header of Steven Wilson here, What Life Brings and the Harmony Codex, the title track. Both singles were released in the past couple weeks, so I wanted to put them both here. What Life Brings is just a beautiful, more acoustic song. The Harmony Codex is more of this expansive, near instrumental track with a lot of electronic elements. So really beautiful tracks that I definitely think should be focused on. Trevor Rabin released Oklahoma from his upcoming album Rio, which comes out next Friday on October 6th. Really great track with a more country flavored edge to it. A really beautiful track to listen to there. Earthside have a new track called Pattern of Rebirth from their upcoming album, which is coming out November 27th. That should be a lot of fun to listen to. More of a heavy prog metal type style to them, but with good hooks and catchiness as well. Kairos has a new track called Esoterica. This is a UK synth prog band. They're really incredible at what they do and infuse this 80s synth style into their proggy sensibilities with some great hooks, great sounds, bit of a Pink Floyd influence perhaps, and it's like Pink Floyd melded with Depeche Mode or some crazy combination. So great dark pop flavored prog stuff there. Then I've got Francis Dunnery's It Bites, Old Man and the Angel Live, a live clip from their upcoming live release, Live from the Black Country, coming out on Blu-ray and CD on October 6th. So I thought that was cool. And then a couple extra things. Haunt the Woods is a new band to me of folky, more alternative type prog. Their track Gold is on my list. They have a couple singles from this album, but this was one that I really enjoyed. A new release this weekend that I didn't mention at the top of the show, but well worth checking out. Their album is called Ubiquity and just came out, so beautiful record. More of that folky, lighter style, more indie rock maybe perhaps than prog, but beautiful nonetheless, and definitely a strong recommendation. And then Hex with their track Too Far Gone, UK prog metalers who are releasing a double concept album called Terra Nova in the not too distant future here. So this is a good little sneak peek of their upcoming album. Very strong song, very catchy, it has a lot of fun into it. So definitely a good one to check out. So those are my items for today. And on the channel this week, I had a Genesis ranking episode, as I mentioned. A really great time was had there, ranking through their whole catalog. It really brought me new appreciation for Genesis and how amazing they are and all that they've done. Really grateful for the response on that one and everyone's comments. People were able to share their rankings, and everyone has great opinions, and I was really happy to see everyone giving their takes on what they think is the best Genesis material. So that was a really great one this week. Next week I have a double heading of reviews. I'm going to review the new Steven Wilson, as I mentioned, the Harmony Codex. Really excited to delve deep into it. That'll come out on Tuesday. And then a lesser known band, I'm going to be reviewing their album on Thursday. This is Advent Horizon and their album A Cell to Call Home, which is brilliant, and I want to bring attention to this band because they're a little bit lesser known in the prog space, but I want to make sure people know about them and get the recommendation and are ready for the release, which comes out October 6th. So should be a fun time on the channel. I've got an interesting classic albums with Jana. We're going to introduce her to some Iron Maiden, so definitely tune into that on Sunday. And just a lot of good things ahead, a lot of great music, a lot of great times to be had on the channel, and I hope you guys will enjoy what's coming up. So thank you guys for joining me, and I'll hopefully catch you in the next episode. Bye, everybody!